Hi friends, and welcome or welcome back to another episode of This Is For The Soul, the podcast, and I'm your lovely host, Brianna Sade. On this podcast, we talk about all things personal development, mental health, spirituality, girl talk, you name it, we're gonna talk about it. So today's episode is going to be a little bit different and honestly really interesting. I want to talk about spirituality, AI technology, and how it is impacting our world and where I think we are headed as a collective. Oh, and I'm going to be getting into Black Mirror Season 7, so spoiler alert, if you have not already watched this season, go ahead on Netflix, check it out, and then come back to this episode so we can get into it. So what inspired me for this topic is this semester in my grad program, I'm taking a course on AI in the classroom. And at first, I'll be honest, my stance on AI was a little biased. I saw it as something that students use and abuse to cheat their way through school versus using it as an educational tool that will help with their growth. But I've dug deeper, and throughout my time in the course, my perspective has shifted, and just like anything, AI is a tool, and too much of something can become very, very dangerous. AI is evolving super duper fast, and there are so many different platforms that make it now easier than ever to do anything. And the downside, it's starting to replace the realness, the human interaction, and people are beginning to rely more on artificial intelligence than their own thoughts. And even with jobs, AI is booming so much that it's getting to a point where jobs for humans are not even going to exist pretty soon. And at the same time, I started watching the newest season of Black Mirror, and when I tell you the symbolism and foreshadowing of where we are headed is eerily accurate, it's like they hide the truth in plain sight through media and entertainment. Subconsciously, we know what's going on at a spiritual level, but consciously, it's the 3D reality that the things outside of us are keeping us stuck or in the matrix, as they would say. Black Mirror has always had a futuristic tone to it, which is why I liked it. But after season 6, I do remember a rumor swirling around that they weren't gonna drop another season because we might as well say we're already living in a season of Black Mirror. I couldn't agree more. With everything that has been going on in the past 5 years, post 2020, the energy has shifted tremendously. After the pandemic, everything changed, and it's like we entered into this new era or this new world, and so many things that we see on a daily, it just feels off. And if you noticed, collectively, our conscious has also shifted. We entered into the age of Aquarius, of course, we all know this, but there has been a lot of deep reflection, things that call for more of our attention and our awareness. You have half of the collective that feels like, okay, something is off, but then you have the other half where some people are just plugged into their routine so much that they don't even question it. They don't even think twice about what's going on around them, and that is a concern. And here's what gets even deeper about Black Mirror Season 7. Are you guys ready for this? Let's talk about numerology for a second. The number 7 itself represents deep reflection, spiritual awakening, and making conscious choices and decisions. Ask yourself, what am I choosing? What path am I going to go on, and what reality am I aligned with? The themes of this season intrigued me because it's about these brain devices that they either attach to your temples or you can implant them directly into your brain. And they promise to give you access to different realities, your memories, and even alternate universes with just the tap of a button. Episode 1, wild, because a woman who was basically brain dead, she gets a second chance at life. Her and her husband can barely afford life as it is. Okay, but Through this system called River Mind, she's able to stay alive, and it controls her sleep, her senses, and her experiences. But here's the catch. Here's the catch. She has to stay subscribed to keep functioning. They even introduced tiers and advertisements, meaning that the ads were flowing through her every day. She was a subscription service, and if she goes outside of certain parameters, her signal drops unless she pays more. What the fuck? It's giving Wi-Fi and cell phone plan coverage. This is what makes it so dystopian. How much of that is truth? Like, how much of that is actually being put in the works? This is just my thoughts. And then in episode 3, these 2 episodes really stuck out to me. This girl, she uses the devices to alter reality. And not only that, but she's using these devices to fuck with her bullies. One bully specifically. But the plot twist is she ends up being the villain all along. And the scary part is, like, no one ever noticed that this girl was just using this device. It was on her necklace, but she was controlling it from her houses and stuff. But she was using this device and jumping between parallel realities, and no one was even noticing it. No one was even giving it a second thought, except for the girl that she was fucking with. And it's like, wow. So what does this all mean for spirituality? Let's be real. Whether we want to admit it or not, we are all plugged in to the Matrix in some way. With all these advancements in technology, the propaganda, the push for AI, and just the Matrix as a whole, we are getting closer and closer to a point where we are going to have to make a serious choice. And it's like, will you allow the Matrix to take over your mind, your body, your soul, or will you stay grounded in your own energy, rooted in the physical? There is no right way to get through this, but the best that you can do is start by trusting your intuition, trusting that inner guidance. Pray over your food, pray over your family, your loved ones. Walk with purpose, and remember that you are the writer of your own story. We are more powerful than we realize as human beings, and we don't have to accept a reality that does not serve us. Which is why in the future, I really do see a future where we may end up becoming divided. Half of us are going to be on one wave and the other half is going to be on another. And it's either you get right or you get left. Everything is going to be okay. And through mental and physical alignment and just putting in that work, we can shift into something better. Something better is coming. I do feel that strongly. But it's just, we have to get through these rough patches before we can reach that place or that something better. This episode was a little short. If it did resonate with you, don't forget to subscribe to my Substack, where I do post a free weekly newsletter that drops every Monday along with a new podcast episode. And I also go into more deeper spiritual reflection and whatnot. This is for the soul at substack.com. Also, you can follow me on TikTok, where I do personalized readings, share clips from the pods, conversational insights, things like that. And yeah, it's just a fun time over there. As always, I appreciate you guys so much for listening, subscribing, tuning in, doing whatever you need to do, and I appreciate you from the bottom of my heart. With that being said, I love you guys, and I will chit chat with you next episode. Bye. Mwah.